Hey guys, today what we're going to cover is a way that we can work on internal and external rotation of the hip. So we call this the hip 90-90 stretch. Internal and external rotation of the hip are sometimes often overlooked. So it has a lot to do with how our hips kind of rotate as we're getting into depth on the squat. So this can be a big limiting factor for that, as well as a lot of other things. So what we're going to do is bend our knee to 90 degrees on both legs. And so I'm kind of in this upright position. Hips are both bent to 90 degrees, knees are bent to 90 degrees. So from here, what I'm gonna do is turn towards the side that I'm trying to stretch. So I'll start off with my left leg and I'm gonna work on external rotation. So I'm turning my torso towards that knee. A big compensation that I see a lot is people that kind of round their back out to do this stretch. So make sure that as you're performing the stretch that you're keeping a good neutral spine. We wanna make sure that we keep that integrity of the spine. So I'm gonna turn towards my leg. I'm keeping a little bit of tension in my core, and then I'm just leaning my chest down towards my knee. You should feel that stretch on the outside of your left hip when you do this. And then I'm gonna hold that for about 2 minutes. So as I'm going through that 2-minute timeline, I'm keeping tension, trying to get as far down as I can. So I don't just wanna kind of hang out in that first position that I'm comfortable in. So I'm trying to get a little bit lower and a little bit lower. After the 2-minute time frame, what I'm going to do is actually do kind of a P&F series, which we call a pail and rail. So what we'll do with that, we're going to take our foot and pretending like the outside of my ankle and outside of my knee, I'm pressing into the floor. So I'm creating tension to press into the floor. We'll hold that for about 4 to 6 seconds. And then at the end of that 4 to 6 second hold, I'm going to try to sink a little bit further. And so I'll hold that for another 6 to 10 seconds, trying to hold a little bit further. And then I'm going to repeat that same series, that 4 to 6 second contraction into the floor again. So pressing into the floor and then relaxing. Now at the end, after I've held that for another 10 seconds, I'm going to take the inside of my ankle and I'm actually going to lift my foot up to the ceiling. So I'm going to contract to try to pull my foot up to the ceiling. I'll hold that for another 20 seconds. So again, 2 minutes kind of out of the gate, a 4 to 6 second contraction into the floor, stretch a little bit further, another 4 to 6 second contraction into the floor, stretch a little bit further, and then we'll pull for a 20-second hold or until I just can't do it anymore, trying to get as much depth out of that as I can. With these stretches, you really should see about a 10% increase in range of motion, or 10-degree increase in range of motion. The great thing about this stretch is that I can also turn and work on the opposite leg as well. So from here, I'm just gonna again take my chest and work on internal rotation on this leg. So I'm keeping my spine in a good neutral position. I'm working towards that opposite knee. This is a different stretch, a different feel. It's one that we don't do very often. You'll feel kind of a deep sensation into your hip that can kind of mimic on the outside of your hip. So it's just an interesting feel. You're not going to get nearly as far, so don't compromise your back on this one. And we're going to hold that again for a 2-minute hold. We'll repeat that same series, so at the just kind of reversing it. So we're going to press our ankle and knee into the floor into internal rotation. So I'm pressing through, good. And then I'm gonna hold that again 4 to 6 seconds, sink down a little bit further, pressing in, relaxing, and then I'm gonna take my ankle and lift up towards the ceiling into internal rotation. So I'm holding through here, 4 to 6 second hold, 4 to 6 second hold, and then lifting again for 20 seconds or until I can't do it anymore. The great thing about the stretch, I can just flip my legs over and basically repeat that same series on the opposite side. So I hope this helps. That's the hip 90-90 stretch.